All right, good morning. This is Steel Michael Talks. Michael Osorello here with you, and it's been a little bit. I've been quite busy. It seems like the first of the year has brought on a whirlwind of activity, and I have to say it's been really good so far. So thank goodness, and I hope that it continues well. So I had a wonderful visit. A friend of mine that I've been following online, and hope he helped inspire me for to do live streaming and everything. And his name is Dave Wonder. You can take him out on the Dave Wonder channels on YouTube, also on Facebook, Instagram, and all of the social media. And he was actually down at a convention in Lakeland, was able to meet him, and this is our first time meeting in person, although we've been talking for several years now online and following. Started around the pandemic time and has continued and consider him a very good friend and I like the fact that he has lived up to the expectations set on online. So he was a great guy. We went on a toy hunt and I got to show off Central Florida to him, so that was a lot of fun. To follow up the week after, which was this last weekend, uh, was the first ever Orlando Art Expo or original Orlando Original Art Expo. And this kind of snuck up on me. So I joined up a couple of line online for a couple of art collection sites because I really am starting to look at original art, and I've collected a couple of pieces from friends and people that I follow. And I've been getting into it a little bit more because it's just something that I'm gravitating towards. And I found out that they're doing a show which was strictly for the art collector market, which really was a really nice low key, but very very well run and really a great show. A little on the expensive side. The they hosted it at the DoubleTree in Orlando, right off of Universal. So the cost of the tickets were kind of high per day, but what you got was very interesting. Now I only went one day because I did have to work that weekend. They had a I know I'm going off. I should be talking about McFarlane, but they had a auction, a pre-sale, a pizza party where you got to meet with the guests and interact with them during before the auction. So it was a very intimate thing. Now I didn't get to go to all those things, but here's something that really made up for the price. When you get original art, I think a lot of the concern is, some people go and collect it. And back in the days when I used to start going to conventions, you used to be able to get a sketch or something like that, for free or for very little money. But with the advent of people flipping it and on eBay and doing everything online, people were taking advantage of some of the artists, and I think some of the artists resented that, and so they kind of made it a little more difficult, so that a real true collector would want to get it and get their hands on it, and they don't feel like they're getting ripped off. So, of course, when you ever have a situation, I mean, where there's something of limited value or limited amount, and a lot of people value the artist as a creator, then you create a market for it, and there's a back market for it that's going to increase the sales and also supply and demand economics. So it's become a point where now you're going to shell out anywhere from 60 to $200 for a con sketch. And that's a lot of money for people because when you consider the fact that they're paying for a convention, they're paying for parking, they're paying for anything that they're going to be eating, and of course the venue is going to jump everything up or is going to be more expensive so that they can cover their costs and make profit off of it. There's a lot of money going out there, and so with the fact that we were going in, we were paying a higher price for these tickets. They actually added a free sketch card where there's certain artists that volunteered and signed up when they went into the show that they would do a sketch on a sketch card, which was tremendous. That's a great great bonus. I chose Matt Wagner as the person that I got the free sketch from. I was not prepared for the enormity of this event as far as the level of talent and the access. Is a very personal access to it, and it's just a very friendly environment. I met a lot of people, and there's people coming in from all over the country just to attend this to support. And I had a good time. So that was busy. I have MegaCon coming up this weekend, and I started the classes with Joe Cube at school. Uh, I'm going to do a separate video on that. Fernando Ruiz is doing a wonderful job. Holy cow. He's our instructor, and he's a comic artist and an instructor, and I guess like a dean of admissions and of the student body over there of Joe Cube at school. And I had an interesting thing, and I'm not going to go too much into it because I'm already 6 minutes in and I haven't even started talking about the toys. But one of my friends asked me, because I was talking to them at work, and they go, "What have I learned from this course that I didn't know already?" I've been drawing since I was a kid. I've really gotten more serious with it in these recent years, and I look for feedback from other artists and creators. I've even tabled at some of the cons. I started at MegaCon, I think it was 2016, 2017, where I don't table, I don't do the convention circuit consistently because of my day job, but it is something that I do from time to time and I enjoy it. What did I learn differently? And it's just tips of the trade of somebody who's done this for years. And I think that's the one thing that when you go to places like Joe Cubitt School or SCAD or community college, whatever you go to, there's artists that can teach you how to make art. And if you have an innate talent, you're going to learn, you're going to have a sense of design and feeling and creativity. When you get somebody who works in the field that you're interested in going, it takes it to another level. Because here is somebody, Fernando Ruiz, he works on Archie Comics, has worked with Dynamite. He has his Hello Kitty program, self-owned product with Dan Parent. He's been doing this for several years. I mean, a couple decades. And here's the thing. He's learned from some of the masters. He's learned through trial and error, and he gets to show you some of those shortcuts and tips and stuff like that. So while this is a 6 week course, this is not the full program. Um, I've already learned in 4 weeks, and I'm looking forward to learning more. And I'm hoping they continue the program. I cannot afford to take time off of work to go in for a year-long program. But if they continue some of these, or if they offer some sort of online version of the course where I can follow and go through like this, I would definitely be very interested in it. And it's pushing me. It's pushing me to not just draw things that I enjoy all the time, but to push the boundaries and make myself go into areas where I may not be comfortable with. And they're not all masterpieces. And that was something I think he handled very well. But again, let's talk about McFarlane Toys. And let me tell you, McFarlane Toys has a hit or miss history with me. They started out in the 90s. Once he became big with Spawn, he started going and looking at toys. And um, not only did he was a founder of Image and he owns everything that has to do with Spawn, but he decided he wanted to go into toys. And his aesthetic is for the art and for how it looks. And he did a really great job. I have to admit, they look sweet. They look like they jumped out of the pages of his books. The only problem when they first started, they were statues. They weren't a lot very mobile. Or they didn't have a lot of articulation. And as the company grew, they started learning in different properties that they took on. That same aesthetic, to use Todd's own words, is he likes it to look cool. Oh, this is cool. You like this, and this is that, and that's something that, as a fan and a comic fan and a toy fan, I gotta say I love that about him. Uh, Sometimes what he thinks is cool, and sometimes what he thinks is cool is kind of like out there. But the DC, when I heard that DC had he had gotten that contract and he licensed the DC properties, I was hesitant, but I was hopeful, and I really did enjoy that first round of stuff that came out. But they were updating stuff, almost with like they were imaging, making it in an image like in the Spawn universe or something like that. But it fit with some of the things that he did. He went with a little bit of the animation, and I think where they finally hit their stride when they started doing more of the classic characters and versions. Now, the two that just came into my mail yesterday, one of my favorites, Nightwing. So the Nightwing figure, um, one of my favorites. I love Dick Grayson as a character. Uh, I love Dan Didio, but I had asked him when we talked one time during the pandemic. Uh, During a comic shop, we were able to get an interview with him. Why he wants to kill off my boy Dick Grayson because he's been trying to kill him off for years, uh, and he's really have gone into his own with his Nightwing comic by Tom Taylor, and he's had some high points throughout his career. This is the heir apparent of the Batman. Here's one of the things that when you talk about DC and Marvel, Marvel, everybody has a history and everything, but in DC, there's a legacy. So you see where the heroes pass on their legacy. So this was the kid that grew up with me and then became his own hero. As you can see with the sculpt, they took the Nightwing from the 90s and he's got the modified disco suit, as typical with the McFarlane toys. You have this little shoulder loop here and it kind of moves so that it can cover the area, but because of the Nightwing feathers, it's not on that loop. So in certain poses that pops out and you'll see it doesn't break it there, but here it'll start to break the illusion. But that does give him a lot of flexibility in the arms and the ability to do some of his uh, gymnastic poses. And he's got the little spin disc. He comes with couple sets of arms. He has the little ponytail that he had there in the 90s. And, he gets some nice, good throwing poses and such. I wasn't too happy about this costume because I really am a fan of the George Perez version of this, which was the first one, which was what we call the disco costume. And I'm hoping that down the line, Todd has been known to do platinum versions and he goes through. So please, Todd, Mr. McFarlane, anybody that works in the company, give me the disco Dick Grayson. Uh, the belt, really nice. And here's one thing on this figure. He's got an ab crunch, but the thing is, Dick Grayson, he's got a lot of back ability, flexibility in his back, but not a lot of ab crunch. And Dick Grayson is one of those characters where, if you're thinking about Marvel and DC, he should have the same flexibility as Spider-Man, because he's a gymnast and an aerialist that has been in the circus for years. This is something I really grown to love, and what they did was McFarlane to erase that seam line from the crotch. They have their a plastic overlay for the trunks, so it looks like they're wearing the underwear on the outside. Which for me, as a classic guy, uh, all superheroes wear their underwear on the trunks. He's got a lot of flexibility in the legs, uh, and he's got a lot of outward flexibility. So you could do a lot of hanging, karate chops, stuff like that. I like this figure, and I was very surprised that I like it as much as I do. I'm a big Robin fan, Dick Grayson, Robin, and I'm a big Titans fan. The Teen Titans are one of my favorite teams. So happy with this. I would love to see a Teen Titans. They released the Teen Titans already, but I would love to see a Teen Titans team in a teen version. I'd like to see them a little smaller so that we can get the original versions of the Teen Titans. That's just one of my wish lists. The next one is Steel. And something that I like about Steel is in the character itself. I know when they did this storyline, the Death of Superman storyline, that it was comic books. You know, back then we used to say that nobody stays dead in comics except Uncle Ben and Bucky. Well, they brought Bucky back, and I know Uncle Ben has come back in versions, so that no longer holds true. But back then there was a little bit of worry that meant that are they really killing Superman? And I love the fact that they built that into the story organically. So while the spectacle of the death of Superman was one thing, how they rebuilt and brought him back, and what was important about the different aspects of Superman was brought back with four different characters: the Eradicator, the Cyborg Superman, Superboy, and Steel. And each of them were aspects of Superman that they were trying to show what he meant. And Steel was one of my favorite ones. And the fact that they had um, a steel worker that was interacting with Superman, and he was deciding to honor the sacrifice that Superman made to help save him by helping protect the city with the symbol of Superman, and created his own suit. So he was kind of a John Henry Irons was the character, and he was kind of a Iron Man for DC. Uh, really love this take on the suit. I'm a little concerned about the paint job that was there. So you could see on the face, I don't know if it's very clear, but there's a lot of discoloration towards the front of the face. I thought that was to make it more of a metallic look, but there's pox marks inside the shield. So I know it kind of gives it a distressed look, and I'm guessing if steel is not bulletproof, but he does use the armor to help prevent him from getting injured. It's almost kind of like an arm vest. So if this is a bulletproof armor that he developed, it does have some park marks on it, and I'm hoping it's not just something wrong with the plastic. But the design work that they go into is excellent. Now he has some things over here, and I'm trying to see. They look like they pop out, but they don't. But that would have been a good point because we don't get extra arms or hands with him. We just get his one set of hands and the hammer, and of course the cape. Now the cape, as the McFarlane tapes, it is plastic, a softer plastic, but it looks good with him, and it really works. The other concern that I had with this figure was there wasn't very much give in the hands, and so the hammer had to fit in there really hard, but the plastic is so soft, you can see how it's bending, and I'll have to take some heat to that later. There's also a lot of blue specks within the paint, and I don't know if that was from the swirling um, effect that they're trying to get on this, and maybe how they sprayed it. I'm hoping, and one of the things I'm going to check is Basement Boy Banter, one of the guys that I follow on Instagram. He does a lot of Todd McFarlane reviews, and he goes in much more detail than I do. I'm not doing a big review, just sharing my stuff. Uh, I'm going to check him out. So check out Basement Boy Banter, and he's on Instagram. And one day I got to learn how to put all those things here on there. Research that today. But a very good figure. Again, head mobility, no problem. He looks down pretty well, which I think he does a little bit better. Nice up shots that you can get. Looks up, looks from side to side. But when he looks up, you can see there's a little bit of detents on it, so it's hard to see. You can arch back. Notice he doesn't have the arch back as much as Nightwing, and he's got even less of an ab crunch. So legs, no problem. Uh, I like this figure. What I would love to see on this figure, I understand not giving us a set of hands or anything like that. We got the hammer. I really would love a unmasked version of the head. He is one of DC's premier black superheroes, I'd like to show who he is under the mask. And I think that was a missed opportunity. What would have been nice, we already know Shaq played a version of Steel on the movies. I would love to see a Shaq head on there. That would be awesome. But we'll see, maybe in future things. So, again, this was a quick review. I wanted to make sure you guys didn't forget about me. And I'm working on some videos so that we can get on a weekly schedule. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for checking in. And again, this is Steel Michael Talks. Check me out on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I'm all over the place. Uh, Cyber Jedi on Twitch. And if Cyber Jedi 72 on Twitch. And again, I'm hoping to finish a full video showing you some of the artwork that I've done with the Joe Kubit School program with instructor Fernando Ruiz. So have fun and be good out there.